Women and Leadership, Visitor and Resource Protection. 4 female NPS Visitor and Resource Protection employees talk about their experience working for the Park Service.
My name is Lena Pace. I'm the Deputy Chief Ranger for Law Enforcement Operations and Policy for the National Park Service, and I work in the Washington, D.C. area.
Hi, my name's Ellen Paxton. I'm a Special Agent for the Investigative Services Branch of the National Park Service.
I'm Diane Abendroth. I'm the Fire Ecologist for Grand Teton National Park and the Bridger Teton National Forest in Wyoming.
Hi, my name is Wendy Bredow, and I'm the Chief Ranger at Glacier Bay National Park and Preserve, located in Gustavus, Alaska.
I first joined the Park Service because I grew up in a small town in Alaska, just outside of Glacier Bay National Park and Preserve, which is a 3.3 million acre, mostly wilderness area up in Alaska in the southeast part of the state. And some of my earliest memories are of enjoying the park as a visitor and a member of the local community, exploring the park with my parents, boating and kayaking and hiking and enjoying all that Glacier Bay had to offer. And I grew up with a real passion for protecting that place and the other places that the National Park Service protects.
I grew up in Boulder, Colorado. Rocky Mountain National Park was a short drive from where I lived, and I spent a lot of time running around in that national park. That was my first introduction to the National Park Service as a kid. I loved law enforcement growing up. My grandfather was a law enforcement officer, first as a patrolman for many years, and then as a detective. As a kid, my favorite game to play was cops and robbers.
I grew up in the National Park Service as my father was also a protection ranger.
I started working for the National Park Service Fire Management in 2000. Prior to that, I worked at a state agency where in the whole region, I was the only woman who was not a front office desk person. I really loved my job, but sometimes I felt like I was an alien from outer space. It was like I was a woman first, and then I was a biologist. And so when I saw that there was a job in fire at the park, I applied for it, and it was just, it was really neat to work in a team that was half women and half men. I just felt like I was a biologist first, and then it was my gender. So that was a really neat transition for me.
And when I started going to college, I went to get an environmental studies and politics degree. And the Park Service hired me as a seasonal employee to work as a student during college in the summertime when I was home from college. And I started to experience the different careers that the Park Service has to offer. I worked as an interpretive ranger, and I worked as a visitor use assistant, and I worked as a backcountry ranger and was hired as a student hire into a permanent position when I graduated from college and ended up going right through the Law Enforcement Academy out of college and have been doing this job for about 20 years ever since.
In college, I was preparing myself for medical school. I took an elective course called Outdoor Survival. During that class, it made me realize the importance for me to be in the outdoors and to choose a career path that allowed for that. After college, I went through the National Park Service Seasonal Law Enforcement Academy, and I was able to work a couple seasons at 2 different parks. At those 2 different parks, I had 2 supervisors who not only supervised me, but they mentored me and they inspired me. And they allowed me to know that the career path I was on as a law enforcement officer for the National Park Service was a good choice.
This career has been fantastic. It's offered me the opportunity to travel around the country and experience all that the National Park Service has to offer. I think my favorite thing about this career is the diversity of experience and the diversity of areas and places and cultures and stories that we protect and preserve, not only for the enjoyment of our current visitors and our current public, but for future generations to be able to enjoy as well.
My job as a protection ranger is one that allows me the opportunity to experience a variety of different skill sets. Not only do I do the law enforcement component of the job, but I also do emergency medical services, wildland firefighting, and structural firefighting. These unique opportunities and all these job functions roll up into a very satisfying and fulfilling job.
It's extremely important to me that we're able to protect these areas and protect these experiences for our public and continue to preserve the history and culture and natural and cultural areas within the National Park Service for future generations.
In 2017, I went to the Women in Leadership Conference in Boise, Idaho, and I just found the speakers there just so very inspiring, even though they were from all various careers and walks of life and places in the country. It was just very refreshing to see so much energy and so much in common with women who felt like leadership was something that was part of them. And I feel like I've come a long way from back in the 90s when I was the only woman in my workplace, and now I'm surrounded by women leaders, and it's just really gratifying to see those changes happen.
Thanks to all the women in visitor and resource protection and in the National Park Service who contribute to our exceptional workforce. To learn more about NPS careers in visitor and resource protection, visit https://go.nps.gov/team. Music, Tenderness by Ben Sound.